Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another game I played on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online from Bad Deck Monday, our weekly stream where I stream on twitch.tv/thetopcut. The description, or the link is in the description. Every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I stream Bad Deck Monday. We have a good time. Goes on for usually about 4 hours or so, and this was one of the highlights of the night. This game I'm using a kind of a fan favorite deck, which will be Vileplume, going up against looks like a Garchomp deck from my opponent RhinoKnows. So this Vileplume deck revolves around Vileplume's the ability, which turns all weaknesses into ×4, and then you just kind of try to take advantage of your opponent's weakness with all different types. Pretty much everything in the game has a weakness, except for Sableye, which actually ends up being a very big deal. This deck does not deal with Sableye very well. But otherwise, pretty much everything has a weakness, which we can exploit with cards like Silver Bangle to hit EXs, or most of the other types are covered pretty well. Garchomp is not a deck I really want to face. When you're playing this deck, it's pretty slow, and usually you're going to fall behind, and usually you're just going to have a bad time. That's all there is to it. I mean, what happens is against most decks you're going to fall behind, and then they play EXs. Most decks do. So you can come back by taking 2 prize knockouts on these EXs. You have all sorts of Pokemon. You can hit for every type with the Silver Bangle. You're hitting for at least 50 ×4, which does 200. I've done this in some other videos to do 200 with a Stunfisk to knock out a Thunderous EX with just 1 energy from Muddy Water. I do this with all sorts of different Pokemon. I've used Combee to knock out Keldeo EX. I've used Oddish to knock out Keldeo EX in 1 hit. So against EX Pokemon, this deck is actually fairly strong. But against this kind of stuff, Garchomp, well, this deck isn't very strong. If I had the option to use Dragon Pulse there on the first turn with my Rayquaza, I would have been able to use Dragon Pulse to win since he's weak to Dragon. Unfortunately, I did not have a way to both search for Rayquaza and retreat to it, so I used Lapras's Call for Family instead to search for 2 basic Pokemon. Lapras is my Water-type attacker. It has Reckless Charge, which does 40 for 2 colorless energy, and then 20 to itself. But that can knock out pretty much any fire Pokemon in the game, because most of those are weak to water. Also, it takes care of something like Landorus EX, which is weak to water as well. But Garchomp is tough because it's all non-EX Pokemon. Sure, I get to knock it out in 1 hit with Rayquaza's Dragon Pulse, but then Garchomp just comes right back and uses Mach Cut and knocks Rayquaza out right back. And basically, I'm just going to run out of Rayquazas. That is the problem. I run out of Rayquaza, and then Garchomp just kind of overpowers everything, because my deck really doesn't do much damage unless I'm hitting for weakness. If I can Dragon Pulse with a Vileplume in play, we can Dragon Pulse for 160, because it's 40 ×4. But otherwise, my attacks are doing just 40, and Garchomp does a sizable amount of damage. I was hoping to get a Float Stone or a Switch, plus a way to attack with Rayquaza, but once again, we fail, and so I put a double colorless somewhere where it might be useful eventually. I'm going to put it on Oddish, since maybe down the line we'll have to attack with Vileplume, since it's one of the few things in this deck that is not knocked out in 1 hit by a Garchomp. Pretty unlikely that attacking with Vileplume will be worthwhile, but nah, at least we gotta try. Alright, so now we're seeing 2 Gabites from my opponent. They have the Dragon Call ability, as you can see here. Search for any Dragon Pokemon, and then he's going to go ahead and bench another Gible. Looks like this is a straight Garchomp deck. This is a deck that is kind of popped up a little bit. Kicks the Altaria out of the deck, kicks all the other supporting Pokemon out of the deck, and it's just 4/4/4 Garchomp, and I would assume 4 Rare Candy as well. Just Garchomp and Silver Bangle, and Hypnotoxic Laser, and Verbank City Gym. That's everything that's in this deck. So you can see he gets a turn 2 Gabite, Gabite, and then a Garchomp with the rare candy. And there's a Pokemon catcher. Uh-oh. And that means Rayquaza's coming out. And already I'm on the losing end of this kind of an exchange. Also, catchers or also replaces my stadium with a Verbank City Gym, which actually is not that bad for me. And he's going to mock cut for a 120 and the knockout. And I have to decide what I want to promote here. I decided to go with the Cobalion EX. I do have a Super Rod. I can shuffle that Rayquaza back into my deck. And, you know, I put out Tropical Beach there. I don't think I should have done that since my opponent only has 2 cards. And I actually decided to bench the Combee, just thinking, you know what? There's no way I'm going to actually get the cards to use Rayquaza to Dragon Pulse here. And, you know, even if I did, what would happen? He would just get another Garchomp and then knock out my Rayquaza. And also, I would need to get Vileplume. That's why I wouldn't attack with Rayquaza here. I don't have Vileplume, so Dragon Pulse would only do 80. So instead, I'm just going to use a Laser. And this is why I should not have played that Tropical Beach. I don't know why I did. Now Laser's only doing 10, or the Poison's only doing 10 in between turns. And I'm giving my opponent an opportunity to fill his hand up to 7 cards. I probably should not have played that Tropical Beach. I think that was a big mistake. But oh well. I did use Righteous Edge to discard the Blend Energy off of the active Garchomp. So Cobalion EX is going to try to chip away, maybe get a knockout on one of these Garchomps, and maybe buy some time to, I don't know, power up Vileplume. There's really no good way to go about this. There is a scary army of Garchomp heading for me, and a Gabite as well. And here we see the Hypnotoxic Laser on me. Go to sleep, and I stay asleep. And my opponent does wake up after using that Tropical Beach. So, kind of a bummer of a turn there. I gave him the Tropical Beach to fill his hand up to 7. He didn't really play a supporter that turn, I don't think. So I think that was a blunder on my behalf. But oh well. Now we'll see where we can go from here. I do have Ultra Ball. I can get Vileplume into play this turn. I'm going to discard my other Ultra Ball and then probably a Skyla. And we'll grab Vileplume. Get that ability going. Get the ×4 weakness. That Allergy Panic ability. But can I actually capitalize on it? I do play Switch in my deck. I'm asleep from the Hypnotoxic Laser, unfortunately. But I do play Switch. So hopefully we can draw that here. And no. Looks like I didn't. But hey, there's another turn to power up Vileplume, I suppose. We'll go ahead and attach another energy. Just one more and we can actually use its attack. I think it's like Pollen Spray. It takes a ridiculous 4 energy to use for a grand total of 50 damage. And then Sleep and Poison. So 4 energy, 50 Sleep and Poison. That's like an attack that would be around in like the base set days. That's how bad that deck is. 4 energy, 50. Ay, ay, ay. Oh well, it's all we got at the moment. At least it has 140 HP, so it can survive some big attacks. But, not too effective. Anyway, it looks like my opponent is getting Garchomp number 4. So you're seeing this correctly. There are 4 Garchomp on the field. And I have no idea how I'm going to deal with this. My field is an Oddish, a Vileplume, a Lapras, a Combee, a Sneasel, and a Cobalion EX that's about to get hit with a Mock Cut for large amounts of damage. And here is a Dowsing Machine as well for a Verbank City Gym to increase the damage done to my Cobalion EX. Now, I don't particularly mind this because it's actually going to increase the damage done to him as well. Unfortunately, I stay asleep again. That is one lazy Cobalion EX. Does not want to wake up. Just taking a nap through the whole game, huh? Alright. Well, now we got to decide here. What do I want to do? I could Dowsing Machine here for Skyla, get Switch, and then actually attack with Combi and Sting Missile doing 30, and then the poison will finish off my opponent's Garchomp. And I can actually knock out Garchomp number 1. I'm really just thinking, alright, this is an army of Garchomp. Is there any way to get through this whole thing before I just lose? And we're going to go ahead and Dowsing Machine for the Skyla. Search for the Switch. Just going to take a look through here. You know, I do have that Rayquaza. At some point we can use that to Dragon Pulse, knock out one of these Garchomps. But here's my first knockout. Via Combi Sting Missile, 30 damage. And we're going to promote something as a sacrifice. Going to promote Sneasel. I actually think I should have promoted Lapras in this situation, because I don't think my opponent has any energy on the benched Garchomps. So Lapras would have been able to take a hit from Mach Cut. Only does 60. Sneasel, unfortunately, does not have enough HP to withstand an attack. So there was a mistake on my behalf. I would have needed a Float Stone or something to retreat the Lapras, but still, I do believe I should have just promoted him. Take the hit, and then try to get the Float Stone and retreat. Here's a Super Rod, so I am going to have to deal with 5 Garchomp in this game, apparently. Not just 4. I don't even think I can deal with 2 Garchomp, but it looks like I'm going to have to deal with 5 so far. And let's see what else happens after that Super Rod. Again, I don't have any way to deal with Garchomp. All I have is one Rayquaza in my deck that can knock these things out, and it gets knocked out right back by a Mach-Cut. Oh, and here is a Pokemon catcher as well. Looks like Cobalion EX is going down, and I am going to go down 2 prizes in this game, and that is no good. How do I come back from this? Honestly, it's going to have to be attacking with Vileplume. I don't know how this happens so often, but whenever I play this deck, it just seems like it gets into these awkward spots, and all I can do is attack with Vileplume and hope for the best. And it looks like that's happening here again. I'm actually happy that my opponent has put Burbank City Gym into play, because Vileplume's attack does do 50 sleep and poison, which will work out nicely to speed up the damaging process on this Garchomp. So I'm kind of hoping he stays asleep, and he does. Alright. Maybe Vileplume can take some victims here. I don't really know. But this is step 1 towards potentially winning. We do see a level ball, so looks like another Gabite will probably come into play here, and there it is indeed. Which means Garchomp number 5 is clearly on the way. Gabite can just Dragon Call for that Garchomp, and there it is. And I'm going to have to deal with a 5th Garchomp. Beautiful. And another Silver Bangle. I'm not going to be benching any more EXs this game, though. But alright. Hey, Vileplume just kind of took down a Garchomp here. The way the math works out, it does 50 damage plus 30 for the poison and Verbank, and then 30 coming back, and then 30 going back into his turn. So 50 plus 90 happens to be 140, which means I can pass for a knockout. So I am just going to put a Float Stone on my Vileplume and retreat into Emolga, attach to the Rayquaza, and we're going to pass for a knockout. Alright, this is going to have to be the way I win this game, because my Pokemon can't really take hits. I need to kind of play a hit-and-run game here. Guerrilla Warfare. That's what we're going to have to use here. Hit, and then retreat, and then let poison finish him. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm also kind of saving Rayquaza for the right moment. I would like to save it for a moment where he doesn't have a Garchomp ready and waiting with an energy on the bench. Seems unlikely that I'll ever actually get to that point. But we do have a Mach Cut here for 60. Emolga takes the hit like a champ and can free retreat. I could decide to go into Rayquaza here or Vileplume. And I'm trying to decide, do I want to just Dragon Pulse, get a knockout, and then his Garchomp's going to knock me out? Or do I want to just try to go for another lucky Vileplume hit here? And you know what? This seems like the best route. We're going to Pollen Spray for 50. And okay, he wakes up this time. So it's not so good in this scenario. Does wake up from the Pollen Spray. And now, Vileplume does take a hit from Garchomp. It has 140 HP, so it will not be knocked out. Mach Cut can discard energy, though, and my opponent does retreat into the Garchomp to get off the poison. And actually, my opponent decides to discard that double colorless off of Vileplume instead of the blend energy. So now it's like, oh, well, I guess now I'll just try to run my opponent out of energy, keep forcing him to retreat, and then eventually try to smack him with the Rayquaza, knock out the only Garchomp with energy, and then kind of hope he just doesn't run, or he just doesn't have any energy left to attack me. Try to catch him a turn here. I gotta get lucky somehow. Or we could just keep him asleep again. All right. This works, but oh man, there's a Juniper. Opponent's going to draw a fresh hand of 7. I don't know if my opponent plays Switch. I have not really seen Switch yet. So if my opponent cannot switch out of this, but oh no. Another Super Rod for another Garchomp line. Am I going to have to knock out 6 Garchomps to win this game? I don't even know if it's possible for my deck to do that. Ay. Oh well. So my opponent attaches an energy to the benched Garchomp that already has, 90 damage on it. And there's an energy search. Looks like that fails and already passes. Okay. So we are still in business, folks. I am just going to go ahead and retreat into Gloom, since it's another Pokemon that can kind of take a hit here. And it also has a 1 retreat cost. That's why I'm not attaching my energy here. We're just going to pass for the knockout once again. Basically, the thought process is Gloom can take a hit for 60, or he can attach another energy and do 100 with Mach Cut, knocking out Gloom. But if he just does 60, I'll attach and retreat, and then attack with Vileplume again, and hope to get lucky again. That is the plan here. But here's an N, and those are not 3 pretty cards. I mean, Combee looks kind of pretty, I guess. Stunfisk is the opposite of pretty. And then there's a double colorless energy, but he does get the blend energy, unfortunately, and knocks out my poor Gloom. And at this point, I'm saying, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity for Rayquaza to come in. Now, what can my opponent do? Does not have another Gibble. We're going to Dragon Pulse for 160. And are we going to win this game here? If he does not get another benched Pokemon, no matter which one he goes after, Vileplume or Rayquaza, both can knock out this Garchomp. He's down to one last Pokemon. Am I going to pull off a miracle victory here in what seemed to be a hopeless matchup and a hopeless game? Here is the Juniper, and oh no. There's another Gibble. Those darn Gibbles don't stop coming. And I'm just trying to check to see what is left at this point. And there's another Silver Bangle as well. And there's a Mach Cut, 240, knocking out poor Rayquaza. And now, I guess it's up to Vileplume. What other option do I have at this point? We can retreat into Vileplume and Pollen Spray, knock out the Garchomp, and just kind of hope that I don't get knocked out by Garchomp number 6 this game and lose. So I'm trying to see, is there anything else I even want to do here? I can bench Stunfisk probably and Munna. Looks like I'm just going to bench Munna and then draw a fresh 5 with the Chorus. And we're just going to Pollen Spray for 50 and knock out the Garchomp from Poison. And now it comes down to this. Does my opponent have the cards necessary to beat me here? Now, there's any number of ways I can lose right here. Rare Candy, Garchomp, Energy is a knockout, and I lose. Rare Candy, Garchomp, and Laser and I lose a catcher and an energy, and Gibble can actually attack for 10 damage and knock out my Emolga, and I lose a catcher and a laser on the Emolga, and I lose. There are even more combinations where I lose, but these are the main ones. And we're going to see the second energy on to Gibble and a Skyla. Oh, no. Oh, whoa. It's not a catcher. That's a laser. Oh, maybe we have a shot here. Here's a Hypnotoxic laser. Oh, no. I'm asleep. And my opponent evolves into Gabite and Dragon Slices. Will I wake up? Yes. All right. So I can attack and win the game with Pollen Spray here. Poison will finish off the Gabite, but wait. I will also be knocked out by poison. And that means we both take our last prize at the same time. And that means we'd go to sudden death. But I gotta do it. I have no other chance here. But wait a second. If I remember my rules correctly, sure, we've both taken our prizes, but my opponent also ran out of Pokemon, and that means I win. Quick rules lesson for you folks out there. When it comes to these situations, there are multiple win conditions. Number 1 is prizes. Number 2 is running out of Pokemon. And if one player has more win conditions than the other, for example, me taking all my prizes and my opponent also ran out of Pokemon, compared to the one win condition of my opponent taking all of his prizes, I win. So Vileplume with Pollen Spray once again wins. I don't even know how to explain this, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I have some more videos for you guys soon. I'm Pooka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.